Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
And I'm Rebecca Fishbein.
Rebecca Fishbein. I'll tell you something. I got this book right here. Floral Estrangements.
Yes, that is mine.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Taunt your rivals and vanquish your enemies through the language of flowers. I didn't know flowers could be so evil, such passive aggressiveness. It's a fantastic book. It's beautiful. I just organized my apartment in such a way that I think I could show Home and Gardens, where I'm like, no, the games go over here and these books go over here, and it's a small place, but now it's perfect. Anyway, my point is, I this is a coffee table book that I leave out now. The pictures of the art of the flowers is beautiful, and it's very, very funny. And I do want you to explain this to people. Is there anything more savage, she writes, than an archly composed bouquet? The Victorians didn't think so, which is why their flower symbols weren't just endearing, they were also cheeky, rude, and downright hostile. Find new and fragrant ways to channel your frustrations and fool your revenge fantasies with this illustrated floriography of some common and not so common vengeful plants, etc., etc. Explain this to me. So it really is like a culture thing. Like, yeah, it's a rose, but it really means fuck you.
Yeah, so the Victorians had like a whole language for flowers. So they would, instead of like texting somebody, I hate you, go die, they could give
Right.
somebody a yellow lily and it says infidelity, or a black rose, which means hatred, or my
Oh,
personal favorite, tansy, which means I declare war on you. So you could tell people that you loved them by, giving them a certain flower, or you could tell them to fuck off by giving them a certain flower, which is pretty fun. Like, I wish we did that more now. We're not giving each other enough evil flowers,
have you
I
ever
think.
done it? But you're like, I know the person's not going to get it. So what do I do?
Well, that's part of the fun, right? So if you
Okay.
give them, you're like, hey, I got you some flowers, but they really mean beware, I'm gonna kill you.
Have you
That's like,
ever been in somebody's house? You see the flowers they got, they tell you who they got it from, and they're like, oh, not a yellow rose. That means they know you're cheating.
I mean, I may start thinking, I might start thinking that way, but
Right.
my dad gets my mom flowers every week, which is very sweet, but I'm gonna start, keeping an eye on which
Right.
flowers he's
Which ones
giving
are
her.
they? Right. You pay your half of the mortgage. What's your have you did you say have you done it personally to somebody?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
I might. I don't really buy flowers that much at this point because I feel like I don't, a lot of my friends have pets and the flowers literally kill them instead of, figuratively wishing
Right.
death upon them. So I'm a little careful about giving people flowers now.
You live with a boyfriend, right?
I do live with my boyfriend.
Do has flowers into the relationship? Do you have to be careful? Like, let me check my book first. What funny thing did I write about something I really want to put on our table?
Well, so when we first started dating, I told him that I really loved flowers. And he did buy me, I don't remember which flowers I think he bought me very nice flowers, but
Right.
I'm not sure what they were specifically. But he actually, for my birthday this year, bought me flowers. But we have two cats, and one of the cats loves to eat plants. Just like she is constantly munching on all of my plants. And she ate these flowers whole. Like there were no flowers
Oh
left
shit.
in 2 days. So, you know, we got cat safe ones, but I think it was not, very, very good for her. So if you have cats, even if you want to tell somebody that in your house that you hate them, I would buy them fake flowers instead of,
My girlfriend would love this book. In fact, and she loves flowers, but now I have to look up, am I sending you something, you know, okay or not? For the holidays, I got her like a smooth, fancy wooden vase. I got her, she loves jigsaw puzzles. I got her a vase jigsaw puzzle, like a
Yeah,
3D thing.
that's
Right? Pretty
fun.
clever.
Yeah.
Knitted tulips, and then some other shit. But this book, she would love. Let's see here. Rebecca is the author of also Good Things Happen to People You Hate. I'm seeing the pattern.
Yeah, I'm a hater. It's it's
I'm seeing
true.
a pattern. Are you good at communication? Or is like, or are you, I don't know, subtle, backhanded, or giving hints and it's their fault to not pick it up?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I feel like I'm more passive aggressive than I want
Okay.
to be. Just like the people pleaser in me never wants to actively let somebody know that I hate them. So instead, I'll I guess write a book about
You
people
ever
that hating
rated?
people.
She's written for the New York Times, the Washington Post, Teen Vogue, Vulture, Jezebel. Have you ever write something? You obviously know who you're talking about. Has the person ever come across it? Like, oh
Well,
shit, that's me, obviously, Rebecca.
so I wrote a book of Good Things Happen to People You Hate was a book of essays. Which, when you write a book of essays in your 20s, you have, which I'm no longer in, but I was then,
Right.
you have a lot of people that you feel like calling out. And so there were a few subjects of the book who I sent the essay to in advance to be like, hey, I'm just letting you know I
Right.
wrote this. And then I'm not really like I'm actually never trying to like actively come for anybody. The only person I truly want to come for is myself. But yeah,
Hello.
so it's a little awkward to be like, here you
Right.
go. I wrote this. I hope it's
Um,
okay.
the so oh, it says what was I reading here? Um, things about you and all the things you've done, and that you have strong opinions on bagels and flowers. Flowers, of course. Bagels. What's the best bagel going today? In fact, by the way, sorry, when you go to the website Rebecca Fishbein, you see different icons to go to different places, how to contact her, to read things that she wrote before, and one of the icons is a bagel. What is the best bagel going today?
Okay, so this is actually a tragic story, but the
Okay.
best bagel, I live in New York City, and the best bagel here, which is the best bagel in the world,
Mm-hmm.
was a place called Absolute Bagels on the Upper West Side.
Mm-hmm.
And they suddenly closed like a week ago.
Mm,
They are gone.
mm.
People are like there's like vigils happening outside the store.
Oh,
Like people are leaving flowers. It is
thoughts
a
and
tragic.
prayers.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure what happened. There's like some rumors that they got shut down by the health department or they had like a bad, or the owner just was old and decided he didn't want to run the shop anymore, but they are gone. So I'm on the hunt.
Or COVID did enough damage. Is that a thing?
Well, COVID did do a lot of damage, although that shop was kind of like more of a you line up and you get the bagel. And although I guess the Upper West Side was probably kind of empty during COVID because
Right.
people there have money and they probably went somewhere.
That's sad. Your favorite bagel is gone.
I know. I mean, I hadn't, it's not like a bagel I had regularly. I live in Brooklyn, so I'm not frequently on the Upper West Side, but it was the best bagel. So I'm gonna have to find a new one. I don't know where.
What style do you go for?
Like what topping or
What
what?
topping? Yeah.
So I'm a whole wheat everything with I used to like the lock spread. I just wanted to overload on
Mm-hmm.
salt, but I've been advised to just do plain cream cheese with the whole wheat everything and to go for lock spread with like a sesame bagel. So I'll mix the salty and kind of more chill.
Advised by a doctor or just some pretentious douche?
Uh you could say by my boyfriend. So like
Okay.
he
No
was like
offense. No
it's too
offense.
well, no, he was right.
How does he say that? Honey, a little too much salt. It's like,
I think
well, come on.
he was just like, this is my flavor profile. You should try it. And I was like, okay, great. But he was right. Also I started getting pumpernickel with cucumber dill cream
Huh.
cheese, and it's really good. I was
Okay.
like not I was skeptical, but
I want to go over some of the essays that you wrote
sure.
and talk about at least the gist because you wrote so much stuff. One of the features you wrote is for the Washington Post. Are you suffering from boyfriend sickness?
Yes. So this was a reported piece that I did for them. I wrote a bunch of stuff for their well and being section.
Okay.
And so there's an influencer named Tinks. I don't know if you know her. She's a podcaster. She does a
Okay.
lot of relationship stuff, and she coined this term boyfriend sickness, which is when you start dating somebody and then you like just become a different person and completely abandon all of your friends, which is a common phenomenon. And it turns out that there are reasons people do it. It's scientifically, you know, it's something it has to do with how you're with your attachment and how your brain is sort of getting used to a new person and prioritizes them. And so you don't mean to disappear on all of your friends. You're going through like new chemical and hormonal changes that are affecting how you connect to people. And
And
after
it's
a
more
while,
it's more subtle than the partner not liking your friends.
well, I mean that can happen too. That's sort of
Okay.
that's a more of a challenge, I think. If your partner doesn't like your friends, you'd have to kind of figure out if that
Right.
has to do with your friends or your partner.
Did
You
you
don't
ever find yourself being a different kind of person because of the partner?
in relationships.
You personally.
Me personally. Well, I mean, I think like
I do puzzles now. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's not like necessarily you become a different person. If it's a good relationship, I think you just sort of they have certain qualities that maybe you'll take on or interests that you'll become interested in just because that's like you're spending a
Right.
lot of time with this person and
What's
but
a
I
bad example?
oh, I mean, if you completely forget about all of your own interests and only are interested in
I
what your
see.
partner does, and you abandon all your friends forever and only hang out with your partner's friends, and you completely like forget about who you are as a person, I would say that's an unhealthy, really, that's unhealthy. And I mean, the word toxic gets thrown around a lot,
Right.
but it's kind of toxic if that's happening. Like a good example is if your partner's really interested in art and you were never really that into art before, but you decide to um, go to a
Th-
museum with them and learn about paintings and stuff. There's a cat about to walk through. I'm just
That's quite
warning
okay.
you.
I'll ask them the
Um,
questions. The another article you had, the new rules of dating over 50, less pressure, more picky. Also for the Washington Post. Did you have to? And I don't know if these two articles are related. Did Are you good at putting your foot down? Are you good at saying, "Hey, no, these are my whatever"? Have you ever had to tell your boyfriend like, "Hey, I don't like this kind of thing," or just no, you finally found you, you're perfect.
yeah, I mean, I think it's good to be like, I feel uncomfortable or this is
Sure.
something I don't like. Let's do it differently next time and talking about it,
What
talking
do
it
you have
through.
to tell him? What's something you had to say?
Well,
No.
I think when we moved in together, the living, figuring out how, like, I'm much cleaner, so figuring out how to split up the cleaning tasks and not get like, I didn't love leaving dishes in the sink. I
Right.
lived alone for 3 years before we moved in together, and I got very used to my own set of living rules, and so
Right.
it was hard to figure out how
Here's how
to,
you separate it with your partner. Hey, partner, don't leave dishes in the sink.
yeah, or hey. If you do this, I'll do that, like
Right.
splitting up the tasks. I clean more, but he does the laundry. I haven't done laundry in a year, so that's great.
Okay, so it works out. The
Yeah.
For Christmas, I gave my girlfriend's daughter a little Taylor Swift piano.
Hmm.
And you can play piano, very small, very tiny, handheld. But you play piano, and then it's a calendar for every week. It gives you might have seen it online.
Yes, I'm
It
familiar.
gives you the notes to a song, gives you the notes to play the chorus in a silly way. I see, wrote an article about no gods, no ticket masters, a Taylor Swift ticket buying journey. It sounds like I saw moms mostly, but I saw moms going fucking crazy online. Not my girlfriend. She's not gonna pay $1,000 for a ticket. She has brains. But I see moms going crazy that the site's not working. Ticketmaster's adding $6 million. What was your journey?
So I wrote that for Hellgate, which is a worker-owned publication, local publication in New York City. It's very cool. So everyone should take a look at
Right.
Hellgate if you live in New York. But uh, I have a group of close friends from college, and we started listening to Taylor Swift in 2007 when I started college. A friend of mine was a very big country music fan, and
Yeah.
she, like freshman year, was like, "Oh, I love this country singer Taylor Swift." So I feel like we've been on the Taylor Swift train
Right.
for longer than is probably healthy.
I'm not joking
So
when I say this. Is Lover a great song?
I love Lover.
I
I
love
think
it.
Lover is great.
Yes.
I think that it's a good album. I mean, I don't love every Taylor Swift song, but
I don't want to
I
marry her. I'm just saying that's a good song.
yeah, and I've like she and I are the exact same age, so it's fun when we sort of like go through similar life stages, although
Uh-huh.
now
Uh-huh.
her life stage is being quite wealthy and mine is not. So we've diverged a little bit, which is okay. But yeah, so I'd never seen her live, and I think most of the people in that group had never seen her live. So we were so excited to try to get tickets to the
Right.
Eras tour. We were like trying to figure out what city to go to. We were gaming the system, and
What's game in the system? Like whoever gets in will pay for it?
I think we had a couple of Capital One cards, so we were trying
Okay.
to get on the Capital. I didn't have a Capital One card, but we were trying to get on like the Capital One pre-sale, and we
Sure.
were like trying to decide whether it would be easier to get tickets to Philly because two of us were coming from Washington D.C. and the rest of us were coming from New York. So,
Okay.
and we had like a whole game plan set out, and like could not get through, like could not get tickets. Tried really hard and I was at work with my computer open for like hours online. We were trying to get them for different cities. We were like, maybe we can get them for LA and then sell them and
What
get
were the
tickets for New York.
prices and then sell them for another day? That's funny.
We were just like trying to finding some way to get ourselves to this concert. So
What were the prices about?
I think the prices were reasonable when we were trying to get them. It was
Okay.
just like the tickets were not available. Like there were no tickets. So
Right.
we ended up managing to get two tickets in New York for $200, but there were
Oh,
for each, but there were five of us. So we then ended up getting tickets off of StubHub that were not great tickets, but not, I think they were also like $200 each. So
right.
it's not what I would usually spend on a concert
Right.
or anything. But
Well, who got those? Who was the person that got those tickets? Because that is a lot of pressure now.
yeah, my friend Molly got the StubHub tickets. I don't remember who got what actually, but we ended up like being able to get better tickets that we didn't have to pay more for because StubHub never sent us the original tickets. And my friend is like a customer service genius and will just spend as much time on the phone like getting a deal. It's not for me. If somebody's like, I can't help you, I'm like, okay, great. I'm so sorry I bothered you. I will never call you again.
Right.
I will give you all my money. Um, but she ended up like negotiating for better seats. So we actually had like decent seats, and I think we each paid like 250 for the tickets.
Okay.
So
So somehow all five people were able to go.
we were all able to go. We sat apart.
Okay.
We couldn't all get the same seats, but it was totally fine.
I was hoping it was going to be you got the tickets and you have to pick one friend.
I mean,
It's
I
the end
think
of it.
it would have been a real I think we were
Right.
kind of like either we're all going or no one's going.
Okay.
But
Uh, you wrote for Lifehacker what to do if you see a ghost. And I tell people I don't believe in ghosts, and they say, "What would you do if you saw one?" I'm like, "Well, then I would believe." I don't believe in God, but if he came to my house, I'd be like, "Well, can't deny it. How you doing?" But what would I do if I see a ghost? I guess I'd be like, I think, what is it? You act bigger than the ghost and scream, or you play dead. I forget what you do with the ghost. What do you do when you see a ghost?
so I think I can't remember exactly. I wrote this one a while back, and I think it was like generally they're friendly, so you can
Hmm.
confront them and say, "Hi, what do you need?" But I think if they're like a really bad ghost, you can, confront them and yell at them and tell them to go away. But what was really interesting about this piece is that people think that ghost sightings are actually like your brain on mold. Like if the reason haunted houses are so frequently like ghost friendly is because
Right.
there's a lot of mold in the houses and it makes,
A
little
mold.
spores. Yeah, so those spores will get into your brain and make you think that you're seeing
Oh, I
things.
never heard that. Interesting.
Yeah, there's like a whole
S-
study about it where they
So
went to
if you see a ghost, get a house cleaner, not the one from Poltergeist, like an actual person that cleans your house.
yeah, or like I'd burn it down. I don't know when I think that like if it's very moldy, it's a lost cause. Don't burn it down. That's dangerous.
Have
But
you ever thought you seen or heard a ghost?
yes, I'm pretty sure. So my grandparents had an old house in Cold Spring, New York, and like my sister and I have always thought that the room that we slept in was haunted, and everyone else who ever slept in that room also thought it was haunted. Like it was like people would come in and out, so it wasn't like we
Right.
were always sleeping in there, but people refused to sleep in that particular room because they felt like a ghostly presence. So I think that it's haunted.
Couldn't they describe anything that happened?
I would wake up with like something over me, like a like a present, like a dark cloud over me.
Oh,
And,
Jesus.
yeah, and like a scientist might be like, oh, it's your brain not really waking up yet, and it's not
Right.
a ghost, but it never happened anywhere else. So,
Why don't you, and I'm saying why don't you, I'm guessing, why don't you look more into ghosts if you do believe in them? Wouldn't that, it would change my life, I would think.
well, I mean, if a ghost is not bothering me, then, I feel like it's fine to
You
just let
woke,
it.
you woke up and this guy's right in your fucking face on top of you. It's a little out of line.
Yeah, but I lived. So,
Right.
like
Okay.
if I'd woken up and there was like a ghost trying to like kill me with a
Right.
knife, then maybe I'd look into it more, but I feel like, he was just making sure that I was still alive, maybe.
Do you ever talk to yourself when nobody's around, but you're talking to a ghost? Like, hey, if you're in this place, I'm cool, you're cool. You ever do
Yeah,
that when nobody knows? Yeah.
for sure. In that room. Yeah.
Right. In that room, sure.
In that room.
Like I'll go into a private bathroom and I'll give middle fingers to the cameras that I think are somewhere.
Yeah,
So that's kind of like that.
I also think that the ghost in that room is a lady, and so I don't know. I just feel like she's just hanging out. She's just looking for friends. But she probably died in like 1850, so I don't know. I don't know if she'd care much for me and my modern ideals, but
Was the house ever sold? And is it rude not to mention that room has a ghost?
the house has not been sold
Okay.
yet. I mean, I feel like a ghost is part of the charm. Like if you buy an old house, then
It's charming
you
if you
should.
tell me.
Yeah, you should assume, I think, that any structure older than a
Okay.
hundred years old has several ghosts, I think.
All
Yeah.
right. What do you guys do for the holidays? Did you visit family?
We stayed in actually, my boyfriend's from Idaho, and it's hard to get back for Christmas because the weather's like the roads are so bad and it's really
Right.
expensive.
And now
So
there's like $30 tolls on all bridges coming into Manhattan. So it's hard to get back. I
yeah,
hear
so
you.
I'm Jewish, so my family doesn't celebrate Christmas. So we just stayed home and ate Chinese food and watched movies, which was great. We watched several Die Hards. We
Okay.
watched Galaxy Quest. Um, what else did we do? We ate $120 worth of Chinese food, which was sort of insane, but
Good
we
for
we
you.
did it. Yeah, we really went all out. But yeah.
Did is it is it I don't know if the words was it unthinking of people planning Hanukkah where that some days it's going to start on Christmas. That's got to be an extra kick in the pants, right?
I mean, I think it depends. It was a little annoying for me because my parents do a Hanukkah little like Hanukkah dinner every year, and usually they invite my friends, but my friends were all out of town because it was during, Christmas. So I didn't get to see my friends, which was a bummer. But I feel like the marketing gods, whoever's in charge of
Hmm.
marketing up there, set it up so that they would really go hard on Christmaka.
I
Uh,
see.
yeah, and we, as an interfaith household, did buy our cats a Hanukkah toy and a Christmas toy and made them choose.
That's
So,
good. Let them make their
yeah,
own choice. This is like Barbenheimer, right?
yeah, I think it's important for them to understand that they have to pick one. They didn't. They picked both. They want presents all the
Do,
time.
do you both get along with your families?
Yeah, we do. I get along with my family really well, actually. Well, my immediate, I don't know all of my family, but my immediate family, yeah.
Did you my I didn't know anything about. I don't know where I'm from. I don't know extended family.
Yeah.
Is it that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's just like we have my dad is much older than my mom, and he was the youngest by like 10 years for his siblings. And so all of my cousins on my dad's side are much older than me, and I didn't really like grow up with them. So we're not super close. I'm sure they're, fine. But my mom's family, I grew up with most of my cousins, and we're close. We're pretty close. But I have one sister who I'm very close with. She lives like a few blocks from me,
Okay.
and we are very close. So my immediate family, I'm very tight with.
When you write an essay or a feature called "How to Break Up with Your Family,"
Yes.
this doesn't sound like it's so personal, is it?
No, I think this was I reported this one for Lifehacker, yeah, for a
Yeah.
few years ago. I don't know if have I don't have personal experience breaking up with family, although I have like there are various factions of the family that people don't speak to for reasons that I think go back to the old country. But
I see.
my I did interview a bunch of people who had to like sever ties with their family, which is a really complicated thing to do, or difficult, I guess, was
I think what I had to do with my dad, um, I don't know. I think I just told the siblings, this is my dad. You can do what you want with your dad. We don't get along.
yeah.
And so we don't really discuss it too much.
Yeah, I spoke with a few people who some of the recommendations are to like have a third party involved. But a lot of people are just like,
Mm,
I have to cut ties. I'm not
yeah.
gonna like extend this out. So I think it's challenging to do.
Any political drama with family?
I think maybe the far away factions are that we don't talk to have different
Okay.
politics from my immediate family. My my parents and my sister and I are all pretty similar. So my dad was like an old hippie. So we all get along, but
Okay.
I know that that's not always the case
I'm
with
I'm
everybody.
I'm guessing based on what you just said, how you voted. Are you on like pins and needles? Where's this country going? How's everybody falling for bullshit? I can't believe this is the people all around me. It's fucking crazy. I was talking to somebody the other day. And they're like, you know what? We have to the great Mimi Cherry. We have to get along with. We have to sit down and talk to the other side. We're not doing that enough. And I'm like, I can't fucking imagine for me, talking to a MAGA, a Trump voter, and having a discussion. How the fuck are we gonna discuss anything, and that can give the time of day? What do you think?
I Personally, I think it's challenging because it feels like we're on different planets. Just like the information that we receive is different. Like so I'm a journalist, so I spend a lot of time talking to people and asking them about their lives and how they feel about things. And it's startling how different like the information ecosystem is depending on like who you vote for and like what your
Right.
politics are. So there's like a whole right-wing apparatus where people are like being told information that is completely untrue.
But you still
So
see Nazis on the street.
yeah, they're hanging out.
With
They're
that
just
said,
marching around. They don't
yeah,
care.
like so, what do they think? But what could the misinformation be? We have to see all points of view. What could the misinformation be?
I don't know. I think we're gonna have to watch like does one American news network still exist? I guess I don't know. I don't even like. I think it's just like I think the economy really did Biden in by like quite a bit. And it doesn't really matter if
Okay,
the news stories are like,
all right.
oh, the economy's actually going well. Because if your personal experience is that you don't have as much money as you had 4 years ago, then it doesn't really matter what the news is telling you.
And what? It's fake that you had to pay $100 million in a civil case over rape.
People
You
just
just pretend
didn't
it's
care.
fake.
They just didn't care. They were like,
It's
whatever.
crazy.
The eggs, they must be cheaper. So
I mean, the last Keith and the Girl show, we were talking about the woman on the subway set on fire and police
yeah.
literally walking past. I thought it was fake at first. How could it be real? Two police officers slowly walking opposite directions at separate times, in a close time span, but they're not necessarily in the same frame. And they're just walking past this woman, not looking. And I described it as like if I was a customer trying to wave down a waiter and they pretend not to notice me. It was something like this. This is the fucking world. And I don't want to be so simple, like, oh, the world we live in. But this is fucking nuts. And that people can defend that. I don't I guess I don't know how people can sit down and have a conversation, is my point.
Yeah. I I
Sounds
think
smart.
it's just like I don't know. My whole perspective on maybe I'm just burnt out. I feel like I'm burnt out on
Yeah.
the world. Just between
Oh,
you
even
know, I
gun violence. Another mass shooting. I think it was what was the elementary school shooting with Sandy Hook.
yeah,
Um, after that, honestly, I'm like, yeah, another one. Okay. And
yeah.
then
And if
somehow I'm disgusting. What do you want me to do?
the Sandy Hook shooting was I think after that happened and nothing
No one cared.
changed
Yeah.
and no one cared, it was clear that nothing was going to
Right.
change with gun violence. No one was going to do anything because if, 20 first graders getting shot in their classroom doesn't,
Yeah.
you know, make people rethink the Second Amendment and, what those protections were supposed to mean, nothing will. So,
I think there's
yeah.
no talking to my fellow people. That's what I think.
I mean, I think that
I'm going to sit
I
you
think
down and
someone's
explain
gonna
to you rape and Nazis and school shootings. That's something
I
we're going to really
yeah.
have a conversation about.
I think someone's gonna have to talk to them, but it doesn't have to be you or me. I don't know. We all have to, we do all live in this country. I don't know what we're
I guess
gonna
we just hope
do.
that generations after us take care of shit, and that the dummies start dying off. And that's all I can guess. You had the article that for the Gothamist. Will Queens voters elect a city councilman who stole their money and assaulted his girlfriend? I'm not sure who you're talking about, but or how long ago this article was written, but now, right now, yeah, why not?
Yeah, they didn't elect
Okay,
him. His name's Hiram Monserrat, I think, and he was accused of a whole bunch of stuff, and he did not get reelected, but he did not get elected to city council, but I think he has tried running for a few things since. Um,
he was
but
before his time.
yeah, I mean,
Try
I
again.
think Trump might have already been president the first time. I'm not sure I can't remember if I wrote this in 2016 or 2017. It must have been
Okay.
2017. So I think part of writing that piece or, I remember interviewing people in Queens to ask them if they were going to vote for this guy. One of the reasons it was up in the air whether or not he'd be elected to city council is that Trump got elected. Like who knew what
Right.
was going to happen? I'm really not surprised that the election unfolded as it did. I was hoping it would go a different way, but I'm not surprised because no one cared about like January 6th.
Crazy. Yeah.
No one cared about anything. So
And then we all see January 6th, by the way, live on TV. Even Fox News, I was flipping through channels and I'd see Fox News is covering it like this is fucking insane. You can't believe this is happening to our country. And then they got the talking points a week later to act like it was an unguided tour. But we all fucking saw it, didn't we? Didn't we see people climbing buildings? Didn't we see people falling down buildings? Nope. No. What?
I watched it live on TV.
Yes.
Like it was the pandemic. No, everyone was watching because
Right.
nobody went outside.
Except them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like people really. I will say that if I'm being charitable, I think that the pandemic I think broke a lot of people. Like I think people's brains have just, including mine. Everyone is just
Yeah.
like changed fundamentally.
Oh, it showed us that we need each other. You had an article about you wanted to live alone. Then the pandemic says you have to live alone. You're like, oh fuck, right?
Yes. Although then I did end up moving into my own apartment and it did rule. So I was right about wanting to live
Right, right,
alone,
right.
but I did need people at the time.
But we all need each other. And my point is, January 6th people, when I see them in their bulletproof vests and all the tight gear, that's a hug to them. Even they need people.
Yeah, well, don't worry. I'm sure they'll be, governor of this place and
Sure.
ambassador to this place soon. So yeah, I think people's brains broke. I do also think that things are just too expensive and like people feel, I mean, in New York, rent is crazy. Like it's just so high and it's impossible. I live in a rent stabilized apartment. I'm
Right.
never going to be able to move anywhere. And people are worried that their future is not going to be good. And I think Trump's just going to make it worse. So I don't know. I don't know if this was the right way
You're right
out, but
about things being expensive. I'm waiting for the Trump cologne to get lower than $150, and
oh
I'm
my
waiting
God.
for the Trump shoes to get down to around 200, $300.
Are you going to buy a Trump Bible?
Trump, the American Bible.
It's
It's
going to be
the
in every
fucking
school.
Bible, but it starts with the American Constitution.
It's
And
going to
now
be
it's
in
the
every
Trump
school.
Bible. It's going to mandatorily be in every hotel room. Oh, I'll kill myself. Oh, God.
Beautiful.
All right, let's get to some less controversial shit. These are some of your essays. Waiting for a celebrity autograph in Times Square to feel something.
Yes.
Who's the
Uh,
celebrity?
So the celebrity was Jensen Ackles. He is one of the brothers on the television show Supernatural. So
Okay.
speaking of the pandemic breaking everyone's brain,
Mm,
I went into what I can only describe as like a deep depression summer 2021. So it was like when stuff had reopened and we were all like, yay, it's over. We can all go back to normal. A, we did not go back to normal.
right.
And B, it turns out that like a year-long pandemic does not, you know, it's not just fixed by you getting a shot and then going back out. Like nobody was normal.
Right.
Nothing went back to normal. So I don't
Oh,
really
I remember
remember.
like it might have been the beginning of the pandemic, but you're not hanging out with anybody. Everything's, we're doing everything virtual. And I was walking somewhere and it had like, so picture this building that has, that little half circle that you can drive, let somebody off and keep going. And then the regular sidewalk. And we're both walking on the same sidewalk. And I think then I took the roundabout, so we're not close to each other. And he said like "thank you" and a smile, and I was ready to fucking cry. Like that's a person like that little stupid shit. So yes, it was fucking nuts.
Yeah, and I turned 30 right before the pandemic started. So I had started like I don't know, becoming less fun. I don't like before like as the
Right,
pandemic happened, I sort of became more, more of an introvert and less interested in being with other people and
right,
like kind of I moved into my own apartment and I just didn't really want to leave it even when we could go outside, which was not healthy or good. I think I just needed time to get used to
right.
whoever I'd become in the last year. And so I watched all 15 seasons of the show Supernatural. I watched some of the seasons more than once. So I watched TV for like 5 months straight. And then I kept like, I got really into it. And 15 seasons of a show is like a 22 episode show. I watched,
Right.
400 episodes of TV. It
You're a cast
completely
member at this point. Yeah.
I wish if they do a revival, they should put me on.
Right.
But I really like spent a lot of time watching this TV show, which is about two brothers who drive around the country like killing monsters. That's the show. And
Okay.
it's is it good? I mean, I loved it. I don't know if it's like a good show, but I certainly enjoyed it in my like horrific state of depression.
Right.
So this actor Jensen Ackles was doing he's also on The Boys, which is
Oh,
the
I know the
yeah.
boys.
So
Okay.
he's Soldier Boy on The Boys.
Oh, he's funny as fuck.
He's
He's
yeah, so
clever. Yeah.
yeah, he was really fun on Supernatural too. So
Okay.
I'm not like a person who goes to seek out celebrities, but I saw that he was going to be on Good Morning America over like summer
Okay.
2022. This was after I had watched all 15 seasons of Supernatural like maybe several times.
Mm,
So I decided, I had another friend who I had like gotten into the show, and we decided to go to Times Square to stand outside Good Morning America to like see him. I think I was just like, I need to go see him. He's been in my house for
right.
the last year. I need to go see him in person. Perhaps it will put my broken brain at ease.
Did you have
So
something planned to say if it worked out?
nope, I didn't know what to do. I'd never done anything like this
Okay.
before. I was just like, I'm going to go get a glimpse of him and that will change my life.
Sure.
So we ended up standing outside Good Morning America for 3 hours, maybe at like starting at like 6 in the morning to catch him. We ended up like befriending this group of graphers, which are people who like professionally get autographs. So they
Okay.
get autographs and then they sell them, or there were a couple of people who would just get autographs for their own personal use.
Right.
We weren't even there for an autograph. Like I didn't have like a photo of him or anything. I think I just wanted like once we were waiting for a while, I wanted to get a picture with him. And I didn't. So I just waited for 3 hours. I didn't even get like a good photograph of him. Like I saw him get out of his car and go
Okay.
into Good Morning America, and I got like a blurry picture of him on the
Did
way in.
the paparazzi or these people that you don't want to sell the autographs, were they more brazen? And did you wish you could be that kind of person? Is it embarrassing or they didn't get any either?
I'm happy for them that they found something that they love, but it's not for me. I never want to wait for a celebrity's
Right.
autograph again for the rest of my life.
Well, I
But
think they love the money, but
Yeah, I don't even think it like pays that well because they were explaining that like most of the autographs only sell for like $5 to $50. So it's not like you're
Okay.
getting like a very rare sighting could get you like 400, $500, but then you're still waiting for like 5 hours to maybe
Right.
get that autograph. But I appreciate anyone who's able to be persistent in
Okay.
a task because I would have just been like, nope, I gotta go home. I didn't want to. They went to go follow him to see if they could catch him
Right.
at the next press event he was doing, and I was like, no, I'm going. I'm
It's the
going to work.
chase. They love the
Yeah,
chase. I remember the end of the pandemic when we started hanging out, and I hung out with a friend of mine that I knew for over 2 decades, brother love, and him and his wife, and we're very comfortable with each other. I almost forgot how to talk. We're at a restaurant, the three of us at a table, and I don't know. I'm talking, then I'm like, oh, I have to look at her, even though I'm talking to him about something she won't understand. Like it's a con. And I think I'm good hanging out with people, but I'm like, I forget how to do this, so I have to. Then I had to get up to go to the bathroom, and I'm almost talking to myself like I'm a Sims character. I'm like, stand up, look to the left, now you walk. It was weird to me. Did you find it that way?
I went to a party after, I guess, like after things opened up the first time after we all got vaccinated, and it was my first party in a year and a half, and I didn't remember how to have a conversation, like a small talk with somebody.
Yeah,
Like I saw a few people that I hadn't seen in over a year and I didn't even know what to talk to them about. Like they were like, what have you been up to?" And so I told them about my plants. Um,
right.
that seemed like the only thing that I could think of
I do
in the
remember in the back of my head as I'm talking, I'm like, is this good? Is this interesting? Meanwhile, again, we've been friends for a long time, but I'm like, who gives a shit? In the back of my head, who gives a shit? People are dying.
Yeah, I mean, I lived with a roommate. Actually a good friend of mine moved into my both of my roommates moved out uh like March 11th,
Mm,
2020. And so I had to fill those rooms. One guy dropped his stuff off in one room and was like, I'm gonna go be with my family until the pandemic's over. So
okay.
he basically like was out of the apartment until our lease ended and I moved into
Sweet.
my own place. And then a friend of mine moved in. And we actually had, I wouldn't say we had like a great time because obviously the world was horrific, but
Right.
it was so nice to just like have this buddy in my apartment while all this terrible stuff
Right.
was happening and we couldn't talk to anybody. Like we became best friends. Like it was really great. And so it was actually hard to move into my own place and then be alone
Right.
for that winter because I'd had like a buddy to watch movies with and hang out with and I don't know, like we could hug each other if we needed
Right.
to. Like it was just a
It was an interesting time, as minus all the death. It was a fascinating time just because it was so weird and different. It's funny the couples I know that broke up, but the pandemic just started. It's like, you know what?
yeah.
I'd rather be alone or risk death with somebody else, but we can't be together anymore. I decided right now. And I guess a lot of people recognize who their partner really was because it's just them in a house together. You can't really go out.
It
So
was
maybe you
hard.
go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, it was hard to be single because I just turned 30. A lot of my friends were in pretty serious relationships, and so they got married and had kids during the pandemic, and
Right,
I was like, "Oh, I've watched 15 seasons of Supernatural," but I think also it was easier to not have to be with another person all the time who I wasn't sure about. So
right.
it was kind of like you could make all the choices that you wanted on your own. You'd no one to fight with if you
You
were
ever you
single.
ever kind of cheat the system because you still wanted to date? Like we're all supposed to behave, but we could go to a park and
I think when they were like you can go outside and be with other people, I would go on dates. We would go to I lived right by Prospect Park, so it's like a very large park and we could
right.
go and sit and have like picnic dates in the summer.
But you'd make out
Um,
sometimes, right?
I only made out with one person and it's because he'd had COVID, although then we thought you could just get it once and not again.
Right.
And then I kind of regretted it. But I lived. But
Did you get it?
I did not get it. He didn't
Okay.
have it at the time. So
Gotcha.
he'd gotten it before And,
Right.
I think I'd had like half a bottle of wine at that point. But other than that, no, I was pretty careful. My roommate was less careful, so I also sort of had to give up control because I can't,
Right.
I couldn't really like do anything about that.
In one of our studios, we had a producer that was staying in the place in a separate room, of course, than the studio. But she ratted me out to my show partner that I didn't wipe down the desk during the beginning of COVID or something. And then I find out she's bringing in people to have sex with. I'm like, very interesting. But you can't, what are you going to do? Not have sex? We got to live.
Yeah, I mean, I had like the other roommate came back very briefly and asked me what he was there for like the month of June and he asked what our COVID rules were and I was like, look, I don't know what you do outside of this apartment, but just don't bring anyone home.
Right.
And then my other roommate, who I do love very much, but who is not that COVID safe, would have like just kept bringing like women through the apartment. And I was like, well, I tried to set some kind of COVID boundary, but I'm not going to tell him to, like, I can't tell him to stop. So I
Right.
just try not to see other people inside. My dad is older, so I was nervous that like I wanted to see him and because my parents live in New York City
Hmm.
and I didn't want to like accidentally kill him. I think that
Sure.
was something I was pretty afraid of for a while.
Everybody's still around now?
Everyone's doing great.
All right.
So
All
we've all
right.
had COVID. So like
Right.
we're here. But
How my life changed. This was for the insider, for insider. How my life changed when I stopped wasting time on terrible sex.
yes, so that is actually an essay from my book, Good Things Happen to People You Hate. It is very much an essay I wrote in my 20s. It really feels like an essay that I wrote in my 20s, but it was about, I think this one was just about like dating in general in your 20s, where you're sort of going out there and meeting people and really like, not really clicking with them, but you
Right.
think that you have to keep dating them to, just like you sleep with a bunch of people
Right.
that you went on 2 or 3 dates with because that's like what you were supposed to do, and it was never fun. So
Did
that
you find
was,
yourself thinking like, at least, no, this isn't the right person, but at least it's somebody?
I did multiple times. My computer's about to die, so I'm gonna just plug it in really
Okay, please
quickly.
do. Please do. While she's doing that, I will tell you this. The book is called Floral Estrangements, Taunt Your Rivals and Vanquish Your Enemies Through the Language of Flowers. That's fun. You know what would be funny if like you want to tell somebody to fuck off, give them a $20 bill. But I think you might dig this. It's beautifully done and very funny and clever. But you were saying, Rebecca,
Yes, so I'm not funny and clever enough to remember to plug in my computer before
that's a
an
different
interview.
skill. That's a different skill.
Yeah.
Somehow it would take away from the other shit.
So there were a bunch of people that I would go out with for like a couple of months who I wasn't really sure about, but I felt like maybe I was being too picky or I just didn't like I thought I was too good for them. It wasn't really
Mm.
that. I just think it's just hard to know if you have it's just like when you know that you have a connection with somebody, you really know it, but until you have that experience, you kind of think like, "Oh, I guess this is fine. I
Right.
guess that we could just keep seeing each other."
How great is it now when you have a connection with somebody and you're like, all right, we're going for the kiss now. It works out and you're like, oh, thank God. Because
It's
I have been with somebody before that our kissing did not match at all. And it's like, oh, come on, can we work through it eventually? And we never did. And
I know. It's like you always knew. I would go out with people. This was such a like it was such a ridiculous thing to think, but I would go out with people and not have an emotional connection with them, and I'd be like, well, but like maybe
right,
we have physical chemistry, and we of course
right.
never did. We never.
Maybe I need somebody that's, not necessarily fun and gets the job done, you know?
Yeah, I was like, maybe I'll feel more connected to them if we have sex or if we make out or
Right,
whatever.
right,
And in fact, I would feel worse and I would need to like escape them because I felt like icky about it. There was nothing wrong with any of these people. They were all perfectly
right.
lovely. I think it's just, well, maybe some of them weren't, but most of them were.
You ever in the bad way cry after sex or,
Oh, for sure.
oh, really?
Yeah, for sure.
In front of them or
No,
okay.
I would let them leave. I went through a breakup kind of at some point, like a situationship ended actually, and
Okay.
hooked up with someone pretty quickly after, and I cried after because I was so I like wasn't ready for that, which that was sad.
And what are you thinking when you cry like that? Like what why did I let myself down?
Yeah, I think I just missed the other person.
I see.
So, and then I was like, well, here's this new body that I have no connection. And maybe
Right.
I would have liked this person if I met them 6 months later, but the timing was really bad. So
Right.
I don't want to be 25 again. I think that was the real problem was being 25.
I don't miss that at all. In fact, you know what's weird? I think about this sometimes that so my girlfriend has a 8-year-old daughter, and I'm thinking like you have school for another 10 years. That's crazy. Like thank God our brains were dumb at that age. Where we'd be like, fuck no. I'm out of here. For
Yeah.
18 years. You just said people that's crazy. But I guess, their brains aren't developed and that's the point of all that school, so they're not too bummed out, but that's insane. Then you have to deal with all the things in your 20s. No, I don't envy that time at all, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was yeah, so actually I can never reread my first book because it's all stuff from my 20s and I'm like I can't do that
That's
again.
why
I
I'm
did
here
it.
to bring it up myself.
Yeah.
From the cut, you wrote, it's complicated, colon, that time I had a secret affair with my roommate.
Yes, I did. This was also in my 20s. This is not the roommate that I hung out with during COVID.
Okay.
This is a guy that I lived with like, oh God, it must have been like 10 years ago at this point. And we had like a thing for 6 months, and it was actually really fun. And it didn't work out, which sucked. But
Is
I think he's great. He's married and has kids. I'm sure he's living a great life, but
was it a
it was
real
hard for me.
relationship or just sex?
It was definitely in retrospect just sex. I liked him. I don't know that I like knew that I liked him, but we hung out all
Okay.
the time because we lived together and we were friends. And I, recommend not shitting where you eat.
Sure.
I used to love to shit where I ate. I loved, like you'd meet people at work or you'd meet people, I guess, in your home. And where else was I gonna meet somebody online? That
Right.
seemed impossible. But
And it
yes,
sounds like you guys didn't, spell it out that it's a relationship. So is it awkward to be like, do you want to fuck tonight? And somebody can go no and it doesn't hurt feelings?
I think that we just like we were hanging out. I don't think we ever really like planned anything. It was just sort of we were hanging out a lot that it was
Right.
sort of natural that it would go down that way. Like we had another roommate who's out of town a lot because she had a boyfriend who lived across the country. And so when she was out of town, we would like watch a movie and hook up.
Yeah.
But it
By the
was
way,
fun.
you got lucky with some of these roommates that are never home.
I have had great roommates, except for a couple. But I have gotten really lucky. I was really lucky with roommates. And actually, the reason I decided I wanted to live alone is that I felt like my luck had probably run out, and I didn't want to like risk having a bad roommate after years of great ones. But
How do you
uh,
ask as the landlord, basically, as the person in charge of the place, and you're looking for roommates? How would I ask somebody, hey, are you one of those people that like won't be here a lot? Because that'd be a weird question to ask, right?
Well, I had a roommate who I also love. The roommate who had a boyfriend across the country was also great. Like when she was around, she was awesome. I actually had somebody interviewed for a room in that same apartment. I lived in that apartment for a long time, but for a room in that apartment who was like, "Hi, my name is so and so. This is what I do. Also, my boyfriend lives in Baltimore and I'm there all the time." And my other roommate and I were like,
Hey,
"Great, you're in."
yeah,
But it does mean that you have a partner come to your apartment sometimes. So sometimes we'd have an extra roommate, but he was pretty like he kept to himself. He was very low key,
okay.
so it was fine.
Did the relationship with the roommate? Did somebody say, "Hey, let's keep it a secret," though?
I probably did. I don't remember, but I think
Okay.
I was very I spent a lot of time in my 20s being like I don't have any feelings, nothing means anything to me, and then I would be completely devastated when something didn't work out. Like I think I
Right.
just didn't really know what I wanted. So I we sort of knew to keep it a secret, and I think by the time I was like, "Oh, I actually like you and I'd like this to be something," I didn't he he met somebody else, and that's how it ended. So I didn't really have a chance to tell him how
Gotcha.
I felt, which is, I think we wouldn't have worked out in the long run. So it was fine, but it was not fun at the time.
How's it going now with your boyfriend? Is he behaving? Everything going nice?
He's great. It's going really well. I
Uh,
have absolutely no complaints, which is rare for me.
all right.
So
How
yeah,
long has that been going?
2 years.
Okay. Look at this.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for you. Good for you. You guys have sex?
Yes, we live in the
Good
same
for you.
apartment.
Good for you.
So
I'm not here to assume. Being speaking of Taylor Swift, did you see Beyonce perform
I
at
did.
recently in a NFL game?
I did. I saw it. She did the Christmas halftime show.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I saw it on YouTube. I did not watch the football.
Okay. It's funny. It was what, Baltimore and Texas. She's from Texas. That's why she was there, and it was like 102-2. It was a fucking beatdown, but she tried to keep everybody's spirits up during the halftime.
Yeah, and I love that Beyonce is really committed to being a country artist, even though
Yes.
like the country music people don't like won't
Right.
allow her to break through. But she is like, I don't care. I'm Beyonce. I will do
There were
whatever I want.
horses, chaps. She did the finger gun, got a 15-yard penalty for that. But yeah, she really does get into it.
Yeah, it was a fun show.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really watch. I'm like a football girlfriend. Like if I'm dating somebody who watches football, I'll watch with them. But I only just learned that the yellow line isn't real. Like
Sorry.
I didn't know this.
The 1st and 10 line, right?
Yeah, like there was always a yellow line on the screen. I assumed it was on the field, but
Did you ever think like, how did they change it so fast?
I didn't think about it. I didn't really understand the rules. Finally, somebody sat down and was like, the reason they're pushing each other is to move to a certain place so that the downs can restart. And I didn't know that. I didn't know how it was played. So,
You ever
yeah.
talk to somebody, a guy probably, and you can tell, and they act like they know everything, but the rules do keep changing. And I would see this in relations, other people's relationships, where the woman asks something, and the guy would love to mansplain, but when he doesn't know, he goes, "Well, anyway, you'll see." And it's like, motherfucker, you don't even know. You ever deal with that or no? You got good
Well,
friends,
if it's football related, I really wouldn't know. Like, I would be like,
right?
yeah, whatever you say is exactly how this game is played. I have had people try to explain baseball to me, and I do watch baseball. I grew up watching
Right,
baseball, and I'm from New York. I grew up a Mets fan, and it is sometimes annoying, even though I love all of these people move to New York and they become Mets fans, and that's great. But
right,
it is annoying when they try to explain the Mets to me because I'm like, no,
right.
I've been watching the Mets for 35 years. I don't need you to tell me anything about them. I know what's happening, kind of. Uh, so if they try to, you know, one up me on Mets information, I can
You start telling them about that show you watched for
about
18
Supernatural.
season about
Yeah,
Supernatural. Yeah.
all 15 seasons of Supernatural. Yes, it was 390 episodes of television.
The two books you want to pick up, Floral Estrangements, and again, so well done and so pretty, and it is. I'm gonna put it on my table for people to flip through. I like it very much. And good things happen to people you hate. And this is the stuff she acts like she's almost cringing at in her 20s. So definitely check it out. It's
Yeah.
personal. Rolling Stone says, laugh out loud funny. Fishbein's essays are so fiercely honest, you'll find yourself wishing, as I did, that I'd only had the book to lean on sooner. Fishbein writes for the Jane Austen obsessed soul, the virginal college wallflower. Were you a virgin in college?
When I started,
When you started college?
yeah, but
Yeah,
not after. Yeah, I mean not during.
right. Yeah, me too. I didn't have sex till I was 18.
Yeah.
The what did you feel pressure when you were in high school?
No, no one wanted to touch me. It was no one came near me, so I just didn't really think about it, and
Okay.
I played with The Sims.
The drunk person waiting for a subway at 2 a.m. and so many more. Look at that. And that's Rolling Stone. They don't fuck around.
Yeah, that was Sarah Grant, who was at Rolling Stone at the time. Also, the illustrations in Floral Estrangements are
Yes.
by Jill DeHaan, who's amazing. Like they're so The illustrations are so good. I
They're
want them
beautiful. Yeah.
printed out at my house on the
Yeah. It's a
walls.
random one. Yeah.
It's a
Love it.
black rose. Yeah, it's my
That
favorite.
that's for when you hate somebody.
That's right.
Yeah, and then you have the genius and the family and the common name and all that. So it's scientific and feel good in a weird fucking way. What should people know? Anything that I missed, Rebecca?
You can find me on Twitter, X, I don't know what it is
Right.
now, as bfish. I'm also on Blue Sky and Instagram, also at bfish.
Okay.
And yeah, you should buy the book or tell someone that you know to buy it if they're a hater. That's a great book for haters.
There you go. And I have a Christmas gift for Liz already planned for next year.
Yay.
Very nice meeting you. Thanks for getting personal. Thanks for saying hi, and I'd like to talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you.